Hello, my name is Harry and welcome to Learn English with British Harry. I am British and a British English teacher. I have taught thousands of students from all around the world, and today you are going to learn some advanced alternatives to some common English words. Let's get started. The first word is bad. Bad typically refers to something negative, undesirable or poor in quality. For example, you could say the weather is bad today. Now, depending on the context, bad can describe moral feelings, for example, a bad person, or unfortunate situations, for example, a bad day, or if you didn't have a good performance in something. So a subpar performance, you could say, I got a bad grade in this subject. Deplorable, deplorable. The stress is on the second syllable, deplorable. This means shockingly bad or unacceptable.
I think there's been a slightly deplorable tendency amongst Bach's biographers to paint.
Really is deplorable. And I just think there are better ways to grab headlines.
For example, the deplorable conditions of the building made it unsafe for residents. So maybe the building is in very bad condition. Maybe there is black mold, or perhaps the roof is leaking. So the building is in an unacceptable condition. His behavior at the meeting was absolutely deplorable. Maybe he said something that he shouldn't have, or maybe he was acting in an inappropriate way. So his behavior was deplorable. It was unacceptable. Heinous, heinous. The stress is on the first syllable, heinous. This means extremely wicked or reprehensible. So this means that something is very, very bad, evil or unacceptable.
Injustice. Yeah, it's a heinous state of affairs, and I couldn't agree more.
Possible for heinous crimes cannot expect to evade prosecution.
Think of things like lying to hurt someone or harming others on purpose. Those are extremely wicked things. You could also say the heinous crimes committed by the gang shocked the entire community. So the crimes weren't just bad, they were shockingly bad. She described the act as a heinous betrayal of trust. So her trust was abused. Abysmal, abysmal. The stress is on the second syllable, abysmal. This means appalling or exceptionally bad.
The quality of your sleep will be abysmal. In fact, if you drink enough caffeine before bed...
Because frankly, this is abysmal customer service, and it's just treating the customer with complete contempt.
For example, the team's performance this season has been abysmal. It just hasn't been bad, it's been very, very bad. I was disappointed by the abysmal quality of the service. Maybe you went to a shop and you had very bad customer service. So this wasn't just ordinarily bad, this was extremely bad. So you had abysmal service. Egregious, egregious. The stress is on the second syllable, egregious. This means outstandingly bad or shocking.
As long as it's not egregious.
In order to understand whether an incident is egregious, demonstrates serious failings.
You could also say, his egregious mistakes cost the company millions. So his mistake wasn't just bad, it was outstandingly bad. It was so shocking. So he didn't just lose a little bit of money, he lost millions. The politicians' egregious lies were exposed in the media. So the politicians' lies were shocking. There was lots of controversy. He didn't just do something bad, it was extremely bad. It was egregious. Next, we have nefarious. Nefarious. The stress is on the second syllable, nefarious. And I love pronouncing this word because it just feels good to say this word, nefarious. So this means very evil or wicked.
Caused by powerful and nefarious forces.
Can't share any details of the nefarious recent history of Stella Vila, but we do.
For example, the The villain's nefarious plan was foiled by the hero. So foiled, it was stopped by the hero. And you see this a lot in movies, maybe movies like Batman, for example, where the Joker is nefarious. He has many nefarious plans, but in the end, Batman stops his plans. He was suspected of engaging in nefarious activities behind the scenes. So this sentence means that it could be someone like a celebrity or someone in the public eye, and at face value, he seems to be honest, but behind the scenes, behind closed doors, he was engaging in nefarious activities. He was doing very wicked or evil things. To help with your English learning, I have created a fantastic ebook. It's completely free, and you will find the link to download it in my description. The next word is smart. Now, this is an interesting word because there can be two meanings. It could mean clever or well-dressed. Now, when describing a person or an action, smart refers to being quick-witted, intelligent, or able to solve problems effectively. For example, he is smart enough to solve the puzzle quickly. Smart can also refer to someone that is well-dressed or has a neat appearance. So, for example, you look very smart in that suit. In some situations, there could be a dual meaning. So smart can mean both clever and stylish. For example, she's a smart woman, always dressed impeccably and full of great ideas. So she was dressed smartly and she is a smart or clever person. We could use the word astute. Astute. The stress is on the second syllable, astute. This means having a sharp insight or the ability to assess situations well. For example, she made an astute observation about the market trends. His astute decision-making saved the company. So he was smart, he was extremely intelligent to recognize the situation and make good decisions. He was very astute. Erudite. Erudite. The stress is on the first syllable, erudite. This means showing great knowledge or learning.
He's an artist who is seen as very rigorous, very erudite, but I think for those reasons very intimidating.
And because he's charming and erudite, he eventually becomes friends with the linchpins of Parisian high society.
For example, the professor's erudite lecture left the students in awe. The lecturer had a lot of knowledge that the students enjoyed. He was known for his erudite writings on history. So the writer was extremely knowledgeable. Dapper. Dapper. The stress is on the first syllable, dapper. This means neatly dressed or stylish. This is usually used for men. So if someone looks to be dressed smartly, instead of saying you look smart, you could say you look dapper. For example, he looked very dapper in his tailored suit. The dapper gentleman greeted us with a smile. Savvy. Savvy. It's a very nice word to say, and the stress is on the first syllable, savvy. This means knowledgeable and well informed. For example, she's a savvy businesswoman who knows how to close a deal. So she's not just a smart businesswoman, she's a savvy businesswoman. So she's extremely knowledgeable. His tech-savvy approach impressed the younger audience. So he wasn't just smart when it came to technology, he was extremely knowledgeable. So he was tech-savvy. And this phrase, tech-savvy, is very common. Perspicacious. Perspicacious. The primary stress is on the first syllable, perspicacious. This means being good at understanding things quickly and clearly.
Great people of Chelmsford are perspicacious, and they have always wanted a government that provides burning for Roman civilization, and most of its leaders were perspicacious enough to adapt to changed circumstances.
For example, his perspicacious mind quickly identified the issue. The detective's perspicacious nature helped solve the case. So here the detective was very good at understanding things quickly and putting the pieces of the puzzles together to understand the overall picture. Interesting, interesting. So this refers to something that grabs your attention, sparks curiosity, or engages your thoughts. For example, the documentary was interesting and taught me a lot. In terms of the broader usage, it can range from casual fascination, for example, this book is interesting, to deep intrigue. Her story was very interesting. I'd love to know more. It's often used to describe things, people, or experiences that are out of the ordinary or thought-provoking. It could be used as a polite euphemism. A euphemism is a polite or softer way of saying something that might be harsh, unpleasant, or offensive. For example, instead of saying he died, you might say he passed away. Saying let go instead of fired is another euphemism. So when you use a euphemism, it makes difficult or uncomfortable topics sound nicer. For example, you could say that's an interesting choice of color for the walls, when you don't really like the color on the walls, but you still want to be polite. Instead of saying interesting, you could say intriguing, intriguing. The stress is on the second syllable, intriguing. This is to arouse curiosity or fascination. For example, the documentary provided an intriguing glimpse into the past. I found her ideas absolutely intriguing. Captivating, captivating. The stress is on the first syllable, captivating. This means holding your attention completely. For example, the captivating performance left the audience spellbound. So the performance wasn't just interesting, it was so interesting that you couldn't look away, you couldn't think about anything else. It was so interesting, it held your attention. She told a captivating story about her travels. Her story was so interesting, it was captivating. You were all ears and you were waiting to hear what she would say next. Thought-provoking, thought-provoking. Thought-provoking is considered one word, but it's a hyphenated compound word. It's used to describe something that makes you think deeply or seriously about a topic. The hyphen connects thought and provoking to show they work together as one idea. The primary stress is on the second part of the compound word, voke, so provoking. For example, the movie was so thought-provoking that we talked about it for hours. His question was simple but incredibly thought-provoking. The film was both entertaining and thought-provoking. So the film didn't just pass the time and entertain you, it made you think. It was thought-provoking. His speech raised several thought-provoking questions. So his speech wasn't just interesting, it made you think very deeply about something. It was very thought-provoking. Engrossing, engrossing. The stress is on the second syllable, engrossing, and this means absorbing all of your attention. For example, I spent hours reading the engrossing novel. So the book wasn't just interesting, it was very, very interesting. It was engrossing. The engrossing discussion continued late into the night. Compelling, compelling. The stress is on the second syllable, compelling. This means evoking or bringing about interest in a way that's hard to resist. For example, the lawyer presented a compelling argument in court. So the lawyer's argument wasn't just interesting, it was explained in such a way that the jury couldn't resist understanding what he was talking about. So it was very compelling. The compelling nature of the story kept me hooked until the end. It was difficult to resist. It was difficult to turn off. If it was a movie that was incredibly compelling, I had to keep watching. Beautiful, beautiful. This is a very common word. This means very pretty, lovely, or nice to look at. For example, the sunset is so beautiful tonight. You can use it for people. You can describe someone that looks beautiful. She's a beautiful woman with a kind smile. You can use it for nature or art. For example, this painting is absolutely beautiful. You can use it for ideas or gestures. It's used to describe something that's really kind or meaningful. For example, that's a beautiful idea for a gift. But we can use some alternatives to beautiful. The first is exquisite. Exquisite. The stress is on the second syllable, exquisite. This means extremely beautiful and delicate. For example, the bride's dress was absolutely exquisite. We admired the exquisite details of the sculpture. Ravishing, ravishing. The stress is on the first syllable, and this means stunningly beautiful. She looked ravishing in her evening gown. The ravishing landscape took my breath away. It wasn't just beautiful, but it was extremely beautiful.
Screen, and I'm greeted by this very proud-looking lady, resplendent in her green cardigan.
Resplendent in their scarlet tunics. Country fairs were an ideal hunting ground.
Resplendent, resplendent. The stress is on the second syllable, resplendent. This means dazzling or impressive in appearance. The palace was resplendent with gold and jewels. He appeared resplendent in his ceremonial robes. So he looked very impressive in his outfit. Ethereal, ethereal. The stress is on the second syllable, ethereal. This means delicate, light, and almost heavenly. For example, the ethereal glow of the sunrise was breathtaking. Her voice had an ethereal quality that captivated everyone. Opulent, opulent. The stress is on the first syllable, opulent. Opulent describes something that is luxurious, rich, or has an abundance of fine, expensive things. It often refers to a lavish lifestyle, elegant surroundings, or extravagant appearance. For example, the opulent mansion had marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and a grand staircase. She wore an opulent gown decorated with diamonds and pearls. So her dress, her gown, wasn't just beautiful, it was extravagant. It was extremely beautiful. Well done. So those are some advanced words to some common English words. Now, can you try to make some sentences with these words and write them in the comments below? Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next lesson. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.